The Path to Pure Creation, True Manifestation Begins with Purification by Jamie Love. To my husband, Daniel, my guiding light, my anchor in every storm, and the quiet strength behind all I create. Thank you for walking this path with me. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. No part of this publication may be reproduced, distributed or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission from the author, except in the case of brief quotations used in reviews, articles, or other non-commercial uses permitted by copyright law. This book is intended for informational and inspirational purposes only. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or legal advice. The author makes no guarantees regarding personal outcomes or results. Always consult with qualified professionals where appropriate. The reader assumes full responsibility for their own choices, actions, and well-being. Table of contents. Introduction. You don't need to add more. You need to clear what's not you. Part 1. Why Purity Unlocks Power. Chapter 1. Before Creation, There's Clarity. Chapter 2. The Distortion of a Clogged Life. Chapter 3. The Physics of Frequency. Part 2. The Shift from Survival to Signal. Chapter 4. Feeling the Difference in a Clear Body. Chapter 5. Your Mind is Not Your Truth. Chapter 6. What You're Actually Carrying. Part 3. Pure Creation. Chapter 7. You Don't Manifest, You Transmit. Chapter 8, Aligned Desire versus Ego Wanting. Chapter 9, Creating from Peace, Not Pressure. Part 4, Living in Resonance. Chapter 10, Protecting Your Purity. Chapter 11, The Beauty of Simplicity. Chapter 12, This is What You Were Made For. Closing reflection, You Are Always Manifesting. Bonus 1, A Purification Lifestyle Guide. Bonus 2, Living as a Clear Channel. Introduction, You're Always Manifesting. The question is, from what? I didn't begin this journey to manifest a dream life. I began because I felt disconnected from my body, from my joy, from the clarity I knew had once lived inside me. I didn't write this book to teach you how to get what you want. I wrote it because I lived through the miracle of purification. And I need you to know what's possible when your body, mind, and spirit become clear. At one point, I had all the symptoms we're told to normalize: fatigue, brain fog, inflammation, emotional swings, physical discomfort. But more than that, I had a heavy feeling that lingered beneath it all. Like I was carrying weight that wasn't mine, like I was living through a layer of static, like something within me had gone dim, and no amount of journaling, positivity, or motivation could bring it back to life. So I didn't try to fix myself. I didn't set another goal. I simply started to clear. I simplified my diet. I sat in silence. I stopped numbing. I stopped forcing. I stopped running from the parts of myself that were begging to be seen. And slowly, so gently, it began. I stopped putting low-frequency food in my body. I stopped absorbing media and energy that didn't align. I got quiet. I got clean. And for the first time in years, I started to feel light again. My face changed. My skin cleared. My emotions balanced. But more than that, my life began to respond. I manifested miracles I never expected, opportunities I didn't chase, relationships that reflected truth instead of old pain, money that came from nowhere, beauty, energy, radiance, clarity, a completely new rhythm of living. I didn't try to attract any of it. It arrived because I had finally become a match. That's the message of this book. You're always manifesting. The question is, from what state, from what vibration, from what level of clarity? My energy shifted, my mind sharpened, my body lightened, and life started responding in ways I couldn't have planned. What I discovered was this: when we purify, we return to resonance. Not just health, but alignment. Not just calm, but magnetism. Not just clarity, but creative power. And from that place, manifestation doesn't feel like trying to attract anything. It feels like truth becoming visible. We've been taught to manifest from the mind, to focus, affirm, script, and visualize. But no one asks, what condition is your body in while you're doing that? What energy are your cells holding? Is your field even clear enough to receive what you're asking for? Because if you are inflamed, foggy, overstimulated, or emotionally stagnant, you might still manifest something, but it will come through distortion, and you'll feel it. That's why my life didn't change when I asked for more. It changed when I cleared what was in the way. This book is not about perfection. It's not about bypassing hard emotions or pretending to be high vibe all the time. It's about becoming honest, empty, clean, present, so that your creations reflect who you really are, not your trauma, your loops, or your unprocessed pain. It's about remembering that miracles are not random. They are the natural result of clarity. When you purify your body, you hear divine guidance more clearly. When you purify your mind, you stop attracting chaos. When you purify your emotional field, you stop manifesting from old wounds. You become still enough to receive. You become light enough to move. You become true enough to create something that actually reflects your soul. This is not a book about chasing your dreams. It's a book about becoming the version of you they're already trying to reach. And when you do, the miracles come. Not through effort, but through pure creation. You don't have to hustle your way into your vision. You don't have to visualize harder, try harder, or prove you're worthy. You simply have to become clear enough, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, for what's meant for you to finally land. This is not a book about doing more. It's a book about removing what distorts your signal. Because the version of you that's clear, light, radiant, and free, she's not waiting to be created, she's waiting to be revealed. And once she is, creation becomes inevitable. Chapter 1, Before Creation. There's clarity. You can't manifest what's meant for you until you remove what isn't. We live in a world obsessed with more vision, more hustle, more healing, more mindset work, more tools. But what if the next level of your life doesn't come from adding anything new? What if it comes from clearing what no longer belongs? Most people are trying to build their dreams on top of distortion. They want to align with love, purpose, and prosperity, but they're carrying inflammation in the body, static in the mind, and emotional debris in the heart. That distortion alters the signal they're sending into the world. It's not that they're not worthy, it's that their field is clogged. And in a clogged state, clarity can't transmit. This chapter is about reclaiming your clarity as your true creative power, not in theory, but in form. Because before you can manifest anything real, you must become an open channel for what is real to reach you. That begins not with desire, but with purification. The fog of modern life. If your body has ever felt heavy for no reason, if your emotions swing without warning, if you wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep, if you've tried to think positive but still feel stuck, you're not broken, you're likely just carrying too much. The average modern human is holding layers of toxicity that go far beyond diet. We consume processed food devoid of enzymes and life force. We scroll past hundreds of subconscious impressions a day through screens. We absorb chaos from music, television, advertising, and social media. We suppress emotions and keep living on top of trauma. We accept background stress and overstimulation as normal. It's not just what you eat, it's what you ingest. Through your eyes, ears, nervous system, and relationships. All of it affects your frequency. So when you try to create something beautiful from a clouded state, it's like trying to project a clear movie through a dusty lens. The image gets blurred, the message gets scrambled, and life responds to the distortion. This is why things often feel off, even when you're doing everything right. You're still trying to create from a vessel that hasn't been cleared. You are a conductor of frequency. Your body is not just flesh and blood, it is vibration. Every cell in your body holds an electrical charge. Every thought you think pulses with frequency. Every emotion you suppress builds pressure in your field. We've been taught to think of ourselves as mechanical, energy in, energy out. But the truth is more subtle, more sacred. You are a living signal. And the state of your body, mind, and spirit determines how clearly that signal can be sent and received. When your system is clean, your energy is sharp, you're sensitive, aligned, awake. You see through illusions. You respond instead of react. You know when something is right for you without needing a sign, a spreadsheet, or a second opinion. But when you're clogged, your frequency gets muffled. You attract based on survival patterns, not soul alignment. You repeat karmic loops instead of creating new timelines. You mistake noise for guidance and wonder why everything feels so hard. This isn't metaphysical fluff, it's physics. It's biology, it's nervous system truth. You can't override the frequency of your system with positive thinking. You have to clean the system itself. Purification isn't about perfection. Let's be clear, this isn't about becoming pure to be worthy. You're already worthy. This is about becoming clear so your life matches your essence. We don't purify to be better. We purify to feel like ourselves again, because underneath the static you are already radiant. You are already magnetic. You are already powerful. But most of that signal is getting blocked by the weight you've been conditioned to carry. This is why I don't start with mindset goals or vision boards. I start with clearing the fog. Because once the fog lifts, everything starts to make sense. Purity reveals. It doesn't add. When I began my own purification journey, I wasn't trying to find myself. I was simply tired of feeling off. I was tired of being inflamed, reactive, anxious, and disconnected from the deeper wisdom I sensed inside me but couldn't access. So I started to remove the things that dulled me, the processed foods, the late nights and screen time, the passive consumption of media, the suppressed emotions I hadn't faced, the relationships that drained instead of nourished. And layer by layer, I began to feel a new version of myself rising. Not new, actually. Original. She had just been buried beneath the static. My clarity returned. My face looked younger. My thoughts became quieter. My intuition turned back on. And the more I purified, the more life began to organize around that clarity. Not because I asked the universe to do it, but because the universe was always trying to meet me. It just couldn't reach me through the fog. So many people try to manifest a new life while holding on to the energy of their old one. They set goals while eating food that numbs their intuition. They chase love while suppressing grief. They visualize abundance while scrolling through chaos. They speak affirmations with an inflamed nervous system and wonder why nothing's changing. It's not because they're doing it wrong. It's because they skip the part where they get clear first. Before creation, there is clarity. Before alignment, there is lightness. Before becoming, there is release. You can't skip this part. And once you stop trying to, your life will shift faster than you ever imagined. Chapter 2. The distortion of a clogged life. You can't see clearly, feel clearly, or create clearly when your internal field is congested. There are some distortions you can't detect until they're gone, like a background hum you've learned to ignore, a layer of fog you didn't realize was clouding your mind, a tightness in your gut or chest that's been there for so long, you've convinced yourself it's just part of being human. We adapt to dysfunction in ways that slowly erode our clarity. We mistake heaviness for normalcy. We mistake numbness for calm. We learn to tolerate conditions that keep us misaligned, not because we're weak, but because we've never been shown what clarity actually feels like. This chapter is about lifting the veil on those invisible burdens. It's about naming what most of us carry in silence, and it's about offering a sacred truth. Your suffering is not who you are. It is the residue of what has not yet been released. The body carries what the mind can't process. Your body is a mirror, not just of your choices, but of your unprocessed emotion, stress, and environmental inputs. When your liver is congested, your skin breaks out. When your gut is inflamed, your mood becomes erratic. When your lymph is stagnant, your face becomes puffy, your joints ache, and your energy crashes by midday. These are not random symptoms, they are signals, and yet we medicate or suppress them without asking the deeper question. What am I holding that my body is trying to move? When you live in a chronically clogged state, your entire frequency distorts. You become reactive, disconnected, overwhelmed, and disoriented without knowing why. It's not a moral failure. It's not a character flaw. It's the result of a body trying to survive an environment it was never designed for. We ingest far more than we realize. Purification is not just about removing junk food and toxins. It's about recognizing what we're absorbing every single day through our senses, our habits, and our attention. Every image you scroll past, every song you play on repeat, every news headline you consume, every opinion you let into your field, every story you tell yourself about who you are. It's all programming, and most of it is invisible. Modern life conditions us to believe that input is harmless if it's normal. But the normalization of dysfunction does not make it neutral. You are not just eating food, you are eating energy. You are not just watching content, you are shaping your consciousness. You are not just scrolling to relax, you are surrendering your field to algorithms built on stimulation, scarcity, and fear. Your subconscious does not filter for truth, it absorbs frequency. So even if you know better, your body will still respond to the messages it receives. Songs that glorify chaos will leave your nervous system activated. TV shows that normalize betrayal or toxicity will subtly influence how safe you feel in relationships. Food that's been stripped of enzymes and life force will leave you heavy, bloated, and energetically dull. Environments filled with noise, judgment, and artificial light will disrupt your inner rhythm, no matter how mentally strong you are. This is the distortion most people don't see. They're trying to heal and evolve, but they're doing it in an ecosystem that keeps feeding them the very weight they're trying to release. Distortion isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. A clogged life doesn't always look like illness or chaos. Sometimes it looks like low-grade anxiety you can't name. Sometimes it looks like distraction, apathy, or a sudden need to overanalyze everything. Sometimes it's just an undercurrent of heaviness that follows you from room to room. That's still distortion. It's just taken on a quieter form, and it will continue to run your life, your decisions, your relationships, your self-perception, until you choose to clear it. How the nervous system becomes a prison. One of the most misunderstood forms of distortion is nervous system overload. You may think you're emotionally unstable, unmotivated, or lazy, when in truth, your system is simply overloaded. When your nervous system is inflamed, either by stress, overstimulation, or trauma, it goes into protective mode. You may numb out, avoid action, overthink, feel disconnected from your intuition, get stuck in shame, guilt, or fear, and all of this creates a feedback loop. The more dysregulated your system becomes, the more you interpret life through a distorted lens. You don't see people clearly, you don't trust your own timing, you question your worth, you self-sabotage your opportunities, you misread divine guidance as fear. This is what it means to live in distortion, and purification is the only thing that breaks the cycle. Your perception of reality is only as clear as your field. There's a reason your life starts to reorganize when you detox. It's not just about the physical body. It's about the lens you're viewing life through becoming cleaner. When you remove salt, processed food, toxic thoughts, stagnant emotions, and overstimulating media, your face becomes brighter, your eyes become sharper, your thoughts become more spacious, your decisions become more aligned. Your relationships start to either deepen or fall away. Your sense of timing, rhythm, and flow returns. This is because you're no longer perceiving through the fog, you're no longer chasing clarity, you're living from it. Distortion keeps you small. Clarity makes you magnetic. Most people are not lazy, they're clogged. Most people are not lost, they're overwhelmed. Most people are not broken, they're just full of things they were never meant to carry. And once you begin to clear it all out, even slowly, you begin to remember who you are without it. You begin to feel a different energy in your cells. You become more sensitive, but also more discerning. You begin attracting things you used to strive for. You feel the difference between alignment and obligation. This is what happens when the distortion lifts. And that's the truth you'll carry into the next chapter. Because once you understand the frequency of your body, everything you create from that place begins to change. Chapter 3, the physics of frequency. Your body isn't just matter, it's signal, and when your signal is clear, your life aligns. There's a moment in purification, whether it happens gradually or all at once, when something clicks, the fog lifts, the dullness fades, and you realize, I was never broken, I was just distorted. Everything you had been trying to figure out suddenly becomes obvious. You feel again. You know again. There's space to hear your intuition, room to feel your emotions, energy to move through your day without dragging your body like a burden. What changes? You didn't just heal. You didn't just glow up. You became a clear frequency again. You are not just a body. You are a signal. Western medicine often treats the body like a machine. Fix the broken parts, insert the fuel, repeat the function. But in truth, your body is not a mechanical system. It is a living, vibrating field of energy and intelligence. Your heart emits an electromagnetic frequency detectable up to 6 feet away. Your brain operates on wave patterns, delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma, that influence thought, perception, and state of being. Your cells communicate through bioelectrical signaling. Your gut and nervous system respond instantly to vibration through food, sound, breath, and emotion. This isn't mystical, this is physics. You are made of frequency, and every choice you make either strengthens or distorts that signal. The frequency of food, thought, emotion, and environment. Every single thing you consume carries a frequency. A fresh juice vibrates higher than a microwaved meal. A prayer vibrates higher than a complaint. Gratitude, stillness, laughter, and forgiveness, these states elevate your field. Noise, judgment, chaos, and resentment, these compress it. You can literally feel it. After a clean meal, light, clear, vibrant. After processed junk, heavy, sluggish, foggy. After time in nature, expanded, grounded, receptive. After too much social media or TV, disoriented, drained, reactive. This isn't just energy talk, it's measurable. Kirlian photography, for example, shows how raw fruits and vegetables emit vibrant energy fields, while processed food emits virtually none. Live food contains enzymes, water intelligence, and electrical charge. Dead food sits in your body like residue, and no amount of supplements will override that foundational reality. When you eat dead food, you dull your frequency. When you consume low-vibration media, you dull your nervous system. When you surround yourself with environments that feel chaotic or toxic, your entire field contracts. So if your frequency is low, distorted, or disconnected, your creations will be too. Manifestation is not magic, it's matching. Most people think of manifestation as a tool. Set your intention, raise your vibration, and the universe will deliver. But that's only part of the picture. Manifestation isn't about asking, it's about matching. And you don't match with your mind alone, you match with your frequency. That frequency is shaped by what you eat, what you think, what you allow into your field, how much you've cleared, forgiven, and released the honesty of your inner world. You can't fake it. You can't manipulate the laws of resonance. You either are the signal or you're not. You don't get what you want. You get what you are, not in worth, but in vibration. And when your system is clouded, confused, or inflamed, you don't manifest cleanly. You manifest noise, delay, loops, fragments of the thing you asked for, but not the real thing. That's not punishment, it's just physics. So if you're not receiving clearly, you must ask, what part of me is not yet clear enough to receive what I've asked for? Not with guilt, not with blame, but with love, with curiosity, with power. Because the moment your field becomes clean, the matching becomes effortless. You can't heal at the same frequency that made you sick. This is a truth most people miss. You can't shift your life while staying in the energy that created the problem. You can't heal emotional pain while eating food that numbs your body. You can't find peace while consuming content that triggers your nervous system. You can't attract clarity while living in overstimulation, drama, or distraction. You must shift your frequency first. And that shift doesn't come from bypassing. It comes from purifying. You remove the noise, you return to simplicity, you clean the lens of perception so you can finally see and be clearly again. One of the most beautiful truths of frequency is that once your field becomes clear, you don't need to try anymore. You don't have to force life into alignment. You don't have to chase anything. Your energy speaks before you do. This is the root of magnetism. Clean frequency is felt. It's not loud, it's not performative, it doesn't beg, it just radiates. This is why some people walk into a room and shift the energy without saying a word. Why some women glow brighter without makeup than they ever did with it. Why clarity is more attractive than charisma, because frequency speaks truth. And when truth is present, everything else rearranges. You don't need more power, you need less interference. Here is the sacred truth this chapter offers you. You don't need to become powerful. You already are. You just need to remove what's blocking the signal. Your body is intelligent. Your mind is powerful. Your spirit is ready, but your signal has to be clear. And that means making different choices, not because you should, but because your frequency deserves it. The future you want is already available. It's not far away. It's not hidden. It's simply waiting for you to match it. And that match begins with purification. Chapter 4, Feeling the Difference in a Clear Body. Purity is not a concept, it's a feeling. And once you taste it, you can never forget what's possible. There is a moment in purification that changes you forever. Not because something dramatic happens, but because something stops happening. The bloating, the fog, the crashes, the cravings, the constant irritation, the background noise, the emotional volatility, and in its place, stillness, lightness, calm energy, a sense of spaciousness that feels like home. No one can describe it for you perfectly, but when it arrives, you know, because you finally feel what it's like to be inside your body and not at war with it. What a clogged body feels like and why most people think it's normal. Before purification, most people don't realize how heavy they've become because that heaviness has become home. It's not just physical weight, it's pressure, it's stagnation, it's the sensation of being unavailable to yourself. In a clogged body, it's common to feel sluggish or groggy upon waking, puffy or inflamed even after light meals, sensitive to light, noise or certain environments, quick to anger, frustration, or tears without knowing why. Disconnected from hunger or fullness cues, addicted to stimulation just to feel awake, irritable without a clear cause, foggy after eating, reliant on caffeine, salt, or sugar to function. These symptoms are often accepted as just being human, but they're not normal. They are feedback, signals from your body that it is overwhelmed, overburdened, and trying to adapt to a lifestyle that doesn't support its natural intelligence. This is why the first stage of purification often feels like a veil being lifted. You begin to realize this whole time it wasn't me, it was what I was carrying. The lightness that returns. Once the body begins to clear, whether through fasting, raw food, herbal cleansing, hydration, or simply simplifying what you consume, everything changes, and not just in theory, but in sensation. Your face becomes less puffy, your digestion becomes smoother, your breath becomes deeper and more relaxed, your sleep deepens, your skin begins to glow, not from products, but from cellular brightness. But the biggest shift is subtle. You stop feeling burdened by your body. You begin to walk differently, you sit differently, you breathe differently. You're no longer dragging yourself through the day. You're inhabiting yourself with clarity and quiet confidence. You feel clean from the inside out. Clean fuel creates clean emotion. When your body is processing junk, your emotions often feel jagged, amplified, or misaligned. You're more reactive, more impulsive, more prone to spirals or shutdowns. But once your body is being fed clean, vibrant, water-rich foods that are easy to digest and full of life force, your emotions begin to regulate naturally. You feel yourself again, not just more positive, but more balanced, more clear, more kind, more responsive. You're not riding an emotional roller coaster anymore, you're steering the ship. This is why purification often leads to spontaneous emotional healing. Once the body is no longer inflamed, the soul can speak clearly. Grief, rage, heartbreak begin to release without force. They move through a body that is finally open to feeling them. Your nervous system becomes less reactive. Your heart becomes more available. You don't over-identify with passing emotions. You don't take things so personally. You begin to embody emotional spaciousness, what the mind feels like in a clear body. You might think mental clarity comes from mindset work. And yes, thought practices can help, but until your body is clean, your mind is running on compromised fuel. In a clear body, your thoughts become slower, but more precise, less compulsive, easier to witness without attachment, more intuitive, less fear-based, more visionary. The mind is no longer in survival mode. It stops looping. You feel a sense of calm observation, a gentle command of your own thinking without needing to constantly fight it. You become mentally quiet, not numb, awake, not hypervigilant, and that space is where insight, creativity, and divine guidance enter. Your face changes, your aura brightens, your energy speaks. These are not metaphors. A clear body becomes visibly radiant. People will tell you, you look different, you're glowing, you feel really peaceful to be around. And it won't be because of makeup or a new outfit or a social media filter. It will be because your energy is no longer weighed down by inflammation or static. Your face softens, your eyes brighten, your skin texture changes, your voice calms, your presence expands. You no longer repel what's meant for you. You draw it in because your energy has become magnetic, not chaotic. This is not vanity. it is frequency. Beauty is not just physical, it is clarity made visible. The return of sensitivity and intuition. Once your body is clear, your entire field becomes more sensitive, not in a fragile way, but in a receptive way. You begin to notice what doesn't feel good in your environment. You feel when someone's energy is off, even if they're smiling. You notice how food, music, conversation, or people impact your field. You don't override your gut instincts anymore. This is because your intuition lives in your body. It speaks through sensation, not logic. And a clogged body can't hear subtle guidance. Once that fog lifts, you reconnect with your inner knowing. You feel what's true without needing to explain it. You recognize when something's off without needing to analyze it. You stop asking for signs because you become the signal. You don't need willpower. You need clean cells. One of the most empowering truths about feeling good in your body is that it stops being about discipline. When your cells are clean, your desires change. You no longer crave the things that once kept you stuck. You don't want to binge. You don't want to numb. You don't want to self-sabotage. You simply don't resonate with distortion anymore. This is the difference between control and clarity. Control says, I shouldn't eat that. Clarity says, that doesn't even feel good to me anymore. And that shift is permanent because it's embodied, not forced. The body as a temple of transmission. Ultimately, your body is not just a vehicle, it's a transmitter. When it is clean, grounded, and nourished, it becomes a powerful channel for love, truth, and divine intelligence. You speak more clearly, you write more clearly, you connect more deeply, you become more trustable to yourself and others. You're not just doing better, you are transmitting from wholeness. And from this place, everything begins to flow, not because you tried to make it happen, but because you finally became the version of you that it was meant to meet. Chapter 5, Your mind is not your truth. Your thoughts are not you. Your mind is not your wisdom. And your clarity begins the moment you remember the difference. Of all the layers we purify, body, mind, and spirit, the mind is often the loudest. It tells stories, it loops on fears, it recycles old pain, it predicts disaster and demands control. And for most of us, it runs unchecked for years, directing our choices, shaping our identity, and filtering everything we experience through the lens of the past. But here's the truth. Your mind is not your enemy. It's just been conditioned to keep you small. And when your body is foggy or inflamed, your mind becomes even more unstable. This is why physical purification creates the conditions for mental clarity. But once the fog begins to lift, the deeper work begins. Reclaiming your inner authority from the voice that never stops speaking. The mind is a looping machine. Your mind was never designed to lead. It was designed to process, to reflect, to calculate, to store. But in modern life, it has become something else entirely. An echo chamber of fear, of programming, overstimulation, and past experience. From the moment you wake up, it begins. What did I forget? What if I'm behind? What if something goes wrong today? What if I fail? What if they don't like me? It replays conversations from years ago. It imagines the worst case scenario before you even leave the house. It tells you who you are based on who you used to be. And all of this happens so fast and so often that it starts to feel like truth. But it's not truth. It's thought residue from childhood, from trauma, from culture, from repetition, and most of it doesn't belong to you. The stories we inherit. We don't just think, we absorb. From a young age, we take on beliefs from the people and environments around us. I have to earn love. I'm too much. I'm not good enough. Success means struggle. My body is a problem. People can't be trusted. Money only comes through suffering. I'm better off staying quiet. These stories become subconscious architecture. They shape the way we show up in relationships, how we view our body, what we allow ourselves to receive, and whether or not we feel safe in our own skin. Left unexamined, these beliefs become a blueprint for your life. You'll keep attracting situations that match the mind's programming, not because you're unworthy, but because your field is still resonating with distortion. This is why mental purification is not about thinking more positively. It's about clearing the noise so you can finally hear what's real. Most thoughts are not yours. Let this land. Most of the thoughts you think today are not original. They are recycled, inherited, suggested. They come from media, music, your upbringing, your fears, your peers, your culture. They repeat themselves because you keep feeding them your attention. If you knew how sacred your awareness is, you would be ruthless about what you let it touch. Because every time you place your attention on fear, gossip, comparison, or distortion, your system responds, your body tenses, your nervous system prepares to defend, your heart closes, your creative power dims. This is why purification is not just about food, it's about mental hygiene. What are you letting live inside your mind that was never meant to be there? Mental static, the invisible distortion. A foggy mind doesn't always sound dramatic. Sometimes it sounds like overanalyzing every decision, replaying conversations you wish had gone differently, imagining negative outcomes before they happen, comparing yourself to people you don't even know, struggling to access peace even when life is going well, feeling like there's always something wrong with you, being unable to stop thinking even when you want to feel. This is not your fault. Your mind was trained to do this. And it will keep doing it until you interrupt the cycle with something cleaner. That interruption is not force, it is purification. Mental purification is a return to inner silence. When your body becomes clean, your nervous system settles. And when your nervous system settles, your mind no longer needs to scream. You begin to experience moments of silence, not emptiness, but presence. You sit without reaching for your phone. You walk without needing a podcast. You stare out the window and feel the stillness settle into your bones. This silence is not passive. It is alive. It's where your true voice lives. It's where divine guidance lands. It's where clarity, creativity, and peace are born. When you purify the mind, you stop reaching for answers because you start to feel them. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who sees them. The greatest shift in purification is identity. Before, you believed everything the mind said. You followed every thought, every fear, every distraction. But once you become clear, you begin to witness. You notice, that's not me. That's a trauma loop. That thought doesn't feel true in my body. That belief doesn't belong to the woman I'm becoming. That fear is not a prophecy, it's a pattern. That shame isn't mine. I absorbed it from someone else. This witnessing is power. It is where liberation begins. Because the moment you stop confusing your thoughts with your truth, you reclaim your sovereignty. You become the space, not the noise. The mind after purification. What happens when the mind becomes clean? You think less, but see more. You hear intuitive guidance more often. You can sit with uncomfortable emotions without spiraling. You access deeper joy, deeper insight, and deeper peace. You no longer argue with yourself. You stop trying to prove, control, or perfect. You start to trust your timing, your worth, and your path. You're no longer run by fear disguised as logic. You live in a state of quiet inner certainty that doesn't need defending. This is the gift of mental purification. Not better thoughts, freedom from thoughts altogether. A return to the truth beneath the noise. Chapter 6. What you're actually carrying. Your weight is not always physical. Your fatigue is not always nutritional. Sometimes what you feel is what you've never been allowed to release. By the time most people begin a purification journey, they've already tried everything else. They've gone to therapy, they've done the journaling, they've changed the diet, meditated, bought the crystals, read the books, joined the programs, and still they feel heavy. Something still clings to them in ways they can't explain. They walk through life like something invisible is pressing against their chest, pulling at their shoulders, fogging up their eyes. That's because some weight cannot be tracked by logic. It doesn't show up in blood work. It doesn't speak in full sentences. But it's there, nonetheless, and it runs deep. This chapter is about that weight, the invisible kind. The kind that lives in your tissues, in your dreams, in the places you've never dared to feel, because what you're actually carrying may not be what you think. Not all of it is yours. Let's begin here. You may be holding pain, beliefs and burdens that didn't begin with you. You may be carrying your mother's self-doubt, your father's suppressed grief, your grandmother's longing, your great-grandfather's trauma. You may be acting out patterns that were never spoken aloud, but passed down in silence, in tension, in absence. This is not abstract. It's energetic inheritance. It lives in your nervous system, your cells, your choices, and your inner voice. Modern science is finally catching up. Fields like epigenetics show that trauma can be passed down for generations, even if the person never speaks of it. That means your fears, your blocks, your emotional triggers might not have started with a single moment in your life. They could be part of a longer chain, one you were born into, but no longer have to carry. Purification is how you cut the cord, not to dishonor your lineage, but to release what's no longer true for you, to keep the love and let the pain dissolve.
Emotional residue is real.
When you don't fully process an emotion, it doesn't disappear. It stores itself in your body, in your breath, in your posture, in your gut, your throat, your womb, your skin. Think of it like energetic plaque. Each suppressed cry, each unspoken truth, each time you swallowed your feelings to keep the peace or make someone else comfortable, it left a mark. And just like unprocessed food turns to waste, unprocessed emotion turns to energetic residue. That residue distorts how you feel, how you relate, how you receive, and how you react. You become more easily triggered, more emotionally reactive, or just as common, emotionally numb, shut down, disconnected, chronically fine. You stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting your body. You stop feeling life as it moves through you. And the world begins to feel flat, heavy, or overwhelming because the energy inside you has no way out. Purification reopens that door. It gives those frozen emotions a way to move, soften, and finally leave. We carry the weight of unlived truth. Sometimes the heaviest burden we carry is not trauma, it's suppressed authenticity. It's the version of ourselves we've silenced to be accepted. It's the passion we've buried to stay safe. It's the words we've never said, the boundaries we never held, the parts of ourselves we edited, denied, or disowned. This creates soul-level pain, a slow erosion of self. You may still look put together, you may still function, but something inside feels dim, muted, unexpressed. That ache is real, and the longer it goes unacknowledged, the more distorted your life becomes. Because you are not here to live a sanitized, acceptable version of yourself. You are here to embody the whole truth of who you are, and that embodiment can only happen when you clear what stands in its way. What you absorb from others. As energetic beings, we are constantly taking in information, but not just through sight and sound, through vibration. If you walk into a room where people are fighting, you feel it in your stomach. If someone sits next to you on a train and they're grieving, you feel a heaviness come over your chest. If your partner is anxious, your whole field tightens to compensate. This is especially true for empaths and highly sensitive souls. If you've always been the calm one, the fixer, or the strong one, chances are you've absorbed a lot of emotional energy that never belonged to you. Over time, this creates energetic density. You carry the pain of others, the weight of unspoken dynamics, the energetic chaos of environments that were never yours to manage. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you haven't learned how to purify your field. Just like you shower to clean your physical body, your energetic body needs cleansing too. Not once, not someday, but regularly, through movement, through breath, through crying, through nature, through silence, through salt, through intention. Without that, you begin to confuse your signal with someone else's static, and it becomes nearly impossible to hear your own truth. The body remembers what the mind has forgotten. Perhaps the most humbling truth of all is this: your body remembers everything, even when your mind does not. There are things you've felt but can't explain. Fears that show up in your dreams, gut reactions you can't trace to any event, shame that appears out of nowhere, sadness that lives in your bones. This doesn't mean you're dramatic. It means your body is holding memories your mind was never allowed to process. And those memories live in tissue, breath, fascia, and posture. You don't need to analyze them to heal them. You need to let them move. When you purify, when you create enough space in your nervous system, those deeper patterns begin to emerge. Not to harm you, to leave you. They rise for release, not repetition. And if you can hold them with love, stillness, and presence, they will pass through like storms that have been waiting their whole life to rain. True healing is emptying the body of what isn't you. Purification at the spiritual level is not about becoming more spiritual. It's about becoming clean, emotionally, energetically, historically. You begin to release stories, beliefs, fears, and frequencies that were never truly yours. And as they leave, you feel more like yourself, not a new version, but a returned one. You feel soft again, open, clear, honest, radiant. You begin to trust your heart again. You begin to feel your purpose again. You begin to speak more clearly, move more freely, and love more fully. You don't just lighten your body, you unburden your soul. And in the space where all that heaviness used to live, something else begins to rise. Something ancient, something real, something pure. This is the beginning of true creation. And in the next chapter, we'll begin to explore what happens when clarity becomes your new baseline and you stop chasing alignment and start embodying it. Chapter 7, you don't manifest, you transmit. Manifestation is not about asking, it's about becoming the frequency of what is already meant for you. Let's begin with the truth most people skip. You don't need to chase what's meant for you. You need to clear what's in the way of receiving it. The manifestation world is filled with rituals, vision boards, and vibrational formulas. There's nothing wrong with them. But they're often treated like a performance, a way to convince the universe that you're ready, worthy, or aligned. But creation doesn't happen because you repeat enough affirmations. It happens when your entire field becomes a match, not just your thoughts, not just your words, your cells, your breath, your rhythm, your truth. You don't manifest by projecting desire. You manifest by transmitting clarity. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. And once you've purified, once you've cleared the inflammation, noise, and energetic weight, you don't have to work so hard to call things in. You become the signal, and everything begins to move toward you. Manifestation isn't a practice, it's a state. When you're clogged, manifestation feels like effort. You overthink your goals. You feel tension around timelines. You try to get your vibration right so the universe will notice you. But when you're clear, there's nothing to fix. There's nothing to force. You begin to live in the state that naturally attracts what belongs to you. This is because manifestation doesn't happen through force. It happens through frequency. You don't create because you want something really bad. You create because your entire being is resonating with truth, and that truth radiates louder than any technique ever could. Wanting is not the same as readiness. You may want love, but are you emotionally clear enough to hold intimacy without self-abandoning? You may want abundance, but is your nervous system regulated enough to receive it without sabotaging or attaching? You may want a purpose-driven life, but is your field quiet enough to actually hear divine guidance? Wanting something doesn't mean you're ready for it. Readiness is about resonance. It means your body, mind, and spirit are clean enough to contain what you asked for without leaking it, gripping it, or projecting onto it. When that alignment is present, life doesn't test you, it mirrors you. And manifestation stops being about getting what you want. It becomes about receiving what you've become. You're not trying to get, you're letting what's meant to find you. This is the paradox of purity. Once you're clear, you stop needing. Not because you've detached from life, but because you've finally become rooted in life. The obsession with results dissolves, the chasing stops, and what you used to strive for begins arriving with ease, grace, and timing that feels like destiny. Why? Because what's meant for your soul has always been trying to reach you, but it couldn't find you through the static, your true partner, your aligned career, your calling, your healing, your joy. They were never far away, but your frequency didn't match until now. Purification makes you a clear channel. When your system is clean, body, mind, and spirit, you become a conductor. You don't send mixed signals. You don't attract from fear. You don't override your own timing. You radiate truth, and that truth is magnetic. It magnetizes aligned relationships and repels what's not for you. It amplifies opportunities that reflect your actual capacity, not your ego's timeline. It brings clarity to decisions, direction, and desires without needing external validation. It draws people into your field not because of your effort, but because of your presence. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to posture. You simply exist as a lighthouse, and what's meant for you finds you. You are always creating. The only question is from what state. Even before purification, you were always manifesting. But you may have been manifesting from distortion, from trauma loops, from fear of lack, from inner chaos, from unworthiness, from energetic confusion. And the results reflected that. Maybe things didn't land or they fell apart quickly. Maybe you got what you asked for, but it didn't feel right once it arrived. Maybe you kept attracting more lessons, more drama, more delay. That's not because you're cursed or broken. It's because you were trying to build reality through a clouded channel. And when you do that, the signal gets scrambled. The universe responds, just not in the way you hoped. But the moment you purify, you become clear enough to create cleanly. That's the turning point. Not when you finally manifest, but when you stop manifesting from chaos. You don't call it in, you become it. You can only receive what you have become a match for, not in theory, in frequency. When you become peace, you attract peace. When you become rooted in your worth, you receive from that worth. When your body is clear, your spirit is stronger and your life reflects it. Creation becomes effortless, not because you control the outcome, but because the outcome now matches you. You don't align with a new life by reaching for it. You align by clearing what is not you. And in that emptiness, in that stillness, you realize you don't need to pull anything toward you. You are the thing, and everything you were meant for has been waiting for the moment you remembered. Chapter 8, Aligned Desire versus Ego Wanting. Purity doesn't kill desire, it reveals which part of you it's coming from. Let's be clear, desire is not a problem. It is sacred, creative, divine. Desire is what moves life forward. It is what brings colour, depth, expression, and beauty into human form. Without desire, nothing would be born, built, healed, or expanded. But not all desire is created equal. There is desire that rises from soul, and there is desire that rises from fear. There is desire that expands you, and desire that distracts you. Desire that calls you deeper, and desire that pulls you into egoic loops of seeking, proving, performing, or consuming. The difference isn't always obvious until you purify. Because when your field is distorted, all desire feels urgent. You don't just want something, you need it. To feel enough, to feel seen, to feel in control, to feel safe. And so you chase, grasp, manifest, overwork, or overgive until eventually you realize this was never aligned. It was just familiar. This chapter is here to help you remember the difference. Ego wanting is loud. Soul desire is clear. Ego-based desire is always chasing something. It tries to complete itself through the outside world. It sounds like, if I had this body, then I'd feel worthy. If I had more money, then I could finally rest. If they validated me, I'd know I'm lovable. If I achieved that title, I'd finally feel successful. There's always a then, a future moment that will finally make the now feel okay. It's never enough because it never touches the root. Aligned desire feels different. It's not grasping, it's revealing. It often arrives softly, like a whisper, or with a calm certainty that says, this is for you, not because you need it, but because you're ready to receive it cleanly. Soul desire doesn't shout, it resonates. It doesn't move from urgency, it moves from integrity. You don't chase it, it pulls you into alignment by its very nature. Desire that comes from lack is never satisfied. When your desire is born from lack, even getting what you want won't feel like enough. You'll manifest the partner and feel anxious the whole time. You'll get the success and worry about losing it. You'll buy the thing and immediately need something else. You'll reach the goal and feel empty the next morning. This is because ego desire isn't about what you want. It's about what you're trying to fill. You're trying to fix a feeling instead of honoring a calling. You're projecting a solution onto something external, when what you really need is to release the internal distortion first. That doesn't mean the desire is bad. It just means it's not pure. And if you act from it, the result will carry that same distortion. Purification clarifies desire. Once you begin to purify, a beautiful thing happens. Your craving quiets. Your clarity sharpens. You stop chasing things that were never truly yours. You stop performing for people who don't actually see you. You stop trying to prove your worth with status, productivity, or perfection. You stop mistaking intensity for alignment, and in the quiet that follows, something new rises. A different kind of desire, a clean desire, one that feels true in your body, one that doesn't rush, one that isn't trying to save you from yourself, but to express you as yourself. That's the desire you follow, the one that brings peace, not pressure, the one that expands your heart even before it arrives, the one that makes you, not more of what the world told you to be. Aligned desire is your soul's and like yes. There is a kind of desire that doesn't feel like ambition. It feels like alignment. It's not about getting, it's about becoming. This is the desire that feels peaceful in your gut, open in your chest, still in your mind, certain in your bones. It doesn't seek approval. It doesn't require explanation. It doesn't override your inner wisdom. This kind of desire might not look flashy. It might not come with a dopamine spike, but it will feel inevitable, like a truth you've been circling around your whole life and finally remembered. From wanting more to trusting what's yours. Purification doesn't take away desire. It just burns off the noise around it. What remains is truthful want. Want that comes from fullness, not deficiency. Want that comes from resonance, not desperation. Want that serves your evolution, not your ego. You stop asking the universe to give you more. You start asking, what do I actually want now that I'm clear? And the answers might surprise you. You may no longer want the lifestyle you once idolized. You may release goals that were rooted in insecurity. You may let go of timelines that were built from fear. You may soften your grip and finally breathe. Because when you're no longer chasing distorted desires, space opens for your real life to begin. Real desire always elevates you. Here's the simplest way to tell. If a desire makes you feel small, unworthy, desperate, or out of integrity, it's not your soul speaking. If a desire expands your capacity, softens your heart, and feels peaceful in your body, that's truth. Aligned desire doesn't contract you, it grows you. And the path to that clarity isn't control. It's purification. You don't have to master manifestation to live a beautiful life. You just have to become honest enough, still enough, and clean enough to know which part of you is asking. When that happens, you don't need to try to manifest your next chapter. You simply say yes to what is already rising inside you. And when desire moves from that place, it creates worlds. Chapter 9, Creating from Peace, Not Pressure. When your energy is clean, creation flows, not because you push, but because you're finally still enough to let it come through. There is a kind of creation that doesn't exhaust you. It doesn't feel like a sprint or a struggle. It doesn't require you to burn out or break down. It flows, it breathes, it builds itself through you. This is the creation that arises from peace, not from needing to prove yourself, not from racing the clock, not from comparison, pressure, or fear of being left behind, but from deep embodied alignment. This is the kind of creation that lasts, because it wasn't born from ego, it was born from essence. It wasn't built to impress, it was built to serve. It wasn't dragged into being, it was allowed. But this kind of creation can only happen once you've purified the noise, because as long as pressure runs your life, your energy will never be free enough to truly create. Pressure comes from distortion. Peace comes from clarity. Before purification, most people live in cycles of invisible pressure, not always external, but deeply internal. Pressure to be further ahead, pressure to achieve in order to be worthy, pressure to fix, improve, or hustle their way into alignment, pressure to make their life look right from the outside. This pressure creates internal noise. Even when you're doing things you love, they begin to feel heavy. You may constantly doubt yourself, overthink your decisions, or burn out from trying to do everything right. This is not flow. This is friction, and it's often mistaken for drive. But pressure is not the same as purpose. It's not the same as clarity. And it's not the same as creative power. True peace is not passive, it's potent. It is the frequency where your deepest creations can finally take root, because your energy is no longer in survival mode. Creation that comes from peace feels like this. It doesn't deplete you, it energizes you. You're not pushing, you're responding. You're not hustling, you're listening. You don't second guess every step, you trust your rhythm. You don't force outcomes, you move in harmony with life's timing. You may still work hard, you may still show up consistently, but it's not coming from lack, it's not a reaction to fear. It's a transmission of truth, and truth doesn't strain to be expressed, it simply unfolds. Stillness is the new productivity. In a culture addicted to doing, stillness is radical, but stillness is where all real creation begins. When you're still, you hear what actually wants to come through. You stop reacting and start aligning. You create from vision, not from urgency. You allow space for your creation to form organically instead of controlling it into existence. Stillness is not stagnation, it is inner spaciousness. It is choosing to move when the signal is clear, not just because your ego is panicking. From this space, you don't rush decisions. You don't chase attention. You don't measure your worth by output. You feel your creative process becoming more sacred-led, more refined, and more true to your essence. Hustle is a trauma response. Flow is a purified state. Let's name this truth clearly. Many people aren't creating from inspiration. They're creating from trauma. They overwork because they're afraid of being abandoned. They overgive because they were taught love must be earned. They force results because they've never felt safe trusting life. So their creations may succeed externally, but internally they're drained, resentful, or numb. This is the price of pressure-driven creation. It may produce results, but it costs you your presence, and the body always keeps the score, which is why peace is not a luxury. It's a frequency worth protecting because it's where your true life begins to unfold. Your nervous system is the foundation of your reality. If your nervous system is dysregulated, it doesn't matter how much you meditate, visualize, or journal. You'll still manifest from fear. You'll still operate from contraction. You'll still reach for things you're not ready to hold, then wonder why they don't feel right once they arrive. This is why purification matters, because when your system becomes clean, your entire rhythm resets. You move slower, but more precisely. You rest without guilt. You receive without collapse. You let go without resistance. You create without rushing the process. This is what peace does. It lets you build your life from coherence, not chaos. Nothing real can be forced. Purification teaches you one of the most sacred truths of all. What is meant for you does not require pressure. It requires presence, it requires alignment, and it requires you to be available to receive it in your true state, not your performance mask. So many people are trying to create a life they don't have the nervous system to sustain. That's not failure. It's a sign that your system is asking for stillness before expansion. You don't need more ambition. You need to feel safe enough to create slowly, clearly, and with integrity. Because when you create from peace, what you build will nourish you. Let it come through you, not from you. You are not here to control your life into perfection. You are here to become the kind of vessel that allows truth to flow through. When that's your baseline, everything changes. You trust your process. You follow the pull instead of the pressure. You create what's real, not what's trending. You don't dilute your voice to stay comfortable. You don't rush divine timing. You learn to sit in silence until the message is ready. You learn to rest without guilt. You learn to do less and become more available to what wants to be created through you. Because your best work, your highest path, your greatest magnetism, it will not come from force. It will come from the moment you realize, I don't have to chase what's mine. I just have to stop blocking it with pressure. And in that peace, creation becomes your natural state. Chapter 10, Protecting Your Purity. You didn't go through all this to go back to who you used to be. Protect your clarity like it's sacred, because it is. Purification isn't a one-time event. It's not something you do, check off, and leave behind. It's a way of living, a way of relating to your body, your environment, your choices, and your truth. Once you've cleared the fog, you begin to realize how much of your old life was built inside it. The foods you reached for, the media you consumed, the relationships you tolerated, the habits you clung to just to feel something. You didn't know it was distortion because it had always been there. But now you've tasted clarity. Now you feel what it means to live light, to breathe fully, to walk through your day in a clean body, with a quiet mind and a grounded heart. And now that you know the difference, one thing becomes clear. This level of peace must be protected. Not out of fear, but out of love, out of devotion, out of the deep recognition that your energy is precious and your field deserves to be treated like sacred ground. Clarity isn't fragile, but it is responsive. Clarity doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you fragile, sensitive, or incapable of facing challenge. It makes you attuned. So attuned, in fact, that you can feel when something is off, even subtly, even energetically. The food, the music, the room, the tone of someone's voice. What you used to tolerate now feels invasive. What you used to enjoy now feels heavy. And what you used to numb out with now creates discomfort. This is a sign of progress, not regression. You're not becoming more sensitive. You're becoming more honest. You're no longer living in a dissociated, overstimulated state. You are awake. And that awakening comes with a responsibility. To stop handing your power to things that dim your signal. The world won't filter itself. You have to. We live in a world that's designed for overstimulation. Music is loud, media is chaotic, food is addictive, people are disconnected, and nearly every platform profits from keeping you in a low-grade state of agitation. No one is going to protect your energy for you. That is your work. That is your choice. And once you've purified, it's no longer optional. It's essential. You must become discerning, not from judgment, but from sovereignty. Because you've felt the difference. And you know what it costs you to ignore that truth. Let go of what no longer matches your frequency. There are things you'll have to release, not because they're bad, but because they no longer belong in your field. You may feel called to let go of foods that are chemically addicting but leave you inflamed, shows and music that normalize dysfunction, violence, or scarcity, social media accounts that drain, compare, or distract, relationships that no longer honor your growth, habits that once felt normal but now feel off. Letting go doesn't always feel easy. But clarity is never found in comfort, it's found in alignment. And once your body, mind, and spirit are aligned, holding on to distortion feels like betrayal. The truth is, you can't stay clear in an unclear environment, so protect your peace. It took work to reclaim it. Now it's time to defend it, not with fear, but with fierce devotion to your highest state. Build a life that feeds your frequency. Protecting your purity isn't just about what you avoid, it's also about what you cultivate. Ask yourself, what makes me feel more clear, more open, more at home in my body? What makes you feel connected instead of depleted, grounded instead of scattered, nourished instead of numb, present instead of performative, expanded instead of overstimulated? This is your new compass. You begin to organize your life around energetic alignment, not obligation. This might look like choosing stillness over stimulation, drinking clean water instead of caffeine, spending time in nature instead of scrolling, journaling instead of venting, preparing a healing meal instead of ordering a quick fix, saying no with love instead of saying yes with resentment. This isn't about rules. It's about resonance. You're not restricting yourself, you're refining yourself. And the life you build from that refinement will feel more like you than anything you've ever known. Clarity requires boundaries. One of the most radical acts of protection is learning to say no. No to the people who don't respect your energy. No to environments that pull you into old patterns. No to invitations that take you out of your body. No to routines that compromise your nervous system. You don't have to explain your clarity. You don't have to justify your stillness. You don't have to shrink your truth for the comfort of others. Boundaries aren't walls. They are containers of integrity. They hold the frequency you worked so hard to remember. Let your no be clean. Let your yes be whole. Let your field be sovereign. Because when you protect your purity, you protect your future. This level of radiance must be guarded. You have cleansed your system. You have emptied the noise. You have felt the difference between distorted craving and divine creation. This radiance is real, and it will call in a new level of life. Deeper love, clearer vision, higher opportunity. But only if you hold the line. Not with rigidity, not with perfectionism, with devotion to what you now know, to what your body tells you, to what your spirit reflects when it's no longer covered in residue. This radiance is not random. It is the result of your choices, of what you let go, of what you allowed to rise. Now it is yours to protect. Chapter 11, The Beauty of Simplicity. The clearer you become, the less you need. Simplicity isn't sacrifice, it's alignment. There comes a moment after purification when the desire for more starts to fade, not because you're giving up on expansion, but because you've discovered a deeper kind of richness. The kind that lives in silence, in presence, in the spaces between things. You realize that so much of what you once chased was excess, so much of what you once consumed was noise, and so much of what you once thought you needed was simply compensating for a connection you had lost within. Now, in the quiet of your clean body, your unburdened mind, and your grounded spirit, you feel the truth. Life is not meant to be complicated. It is meant to be clear. Not cluttered with things, not packed with distractions, not filled with artificial urgency, but lived simply with honesty, with rhythm, with breath. This chapter is a love letter to that kind of life. Simplicity is a frequency. Simplicity is not just an aesthetic. It's not just a lifestyle trend. It's a vibration. And when your frequency is clean, simplicity becomes magnetic. You find yourself drawn to unprocessed food, uncluttered spaces, quiet mornings, gentle natural light, honest conversations, deep presence with fewer people. You no longer crave loudness, speed, or excess. You crave depth, coherence, truth. This is because your system has recalibrated. Your nervous system no longer needs constant stimulation to feel alive. Your mind no longer needs drama to feel important. Your body no longer needs sugar, caffeine, or chaos to keep going. You're no longer living from addiction. You're living from attunement. And attunement thrives in simplicity. The less you carry, the more you can feel. Simplicity is not about deprivation. It's about returning to your senses, to your breath, to your body, to your knowing. When your life becomes simpler, you begin to notice what's been waiting for you all along. The quiet joy of drinking pure water, the beauty of your own face without enhancements, the sacredness of a clean home, the medicine of an unscheduled afternoon, the intimacy of cooking your own food, the way the wind feels on your skin when you're actually present. You realize that so much of what you thought you needed to feel better was just numbing. You didn't need more. You needed less. Less distraction, less input, less noise. And in the space that simplicity creates, life returns. What you say no to is as important as what you say yes to. In a purified life, your decisions carry more weight. Not because they're heavy, but because they're honest. You don't say yes out of guilt anymore. You don't stay in conversations that drain you. You don't keep things just in case. You don't hold on to stories, habits, or stuff that pulls you backward. This is not minimalism for the sake of aesthetics. This is energetic alignment. You let go because you felt the difference. You know what it's like to live inside your truth. And anything that pulls you out of it, even subtly, must go. This doesn't mean you become rigid, it means you become clear, and clarity brings peace. Because when your life reflects your inner state, everything feels right. Ritual over routine. In a simple life, even the smallest act becomes sacred. You don't brush your teeth mindlessly. You thank your body for its resilience. You don't rush through your skincare. You nourish your skin as an act of reverence. You don't eat while distracted. You sit with your food and let it feed your frequency. You don't scroll in bed. You let your mind rest with intention. This is how simplicity becomes devotion, not to performance, but to presence. You stop outsourcing your spiritual practice to retreats or ceremonies. You bring sacredness into the ordinary. And in doing so, you realize nothing is ordinary. Every part of your life, when purified, becomes a prayer. What you own, owns you. One of the great secrets of creation is this. Everything you keep in your space, physical, mental, or energetic, takes up room in your field. That old pile of clothes you never wear, that cluttered inbox, that drawer full of maybe one-day supplements, they all speak to your energy system. They all anchor a part of your past. They all hold vibration. This is not about becoming a minimalist, and it's about choosing to only hold what is aligned. Because the more you simplify, the more you realize you don't need more storage. You need less attachment. You don't need more shelves. You need more space to breathe, and in that space you'll find something even more beautiful than stuff. Freedom. Living lightly is living freely. A simple life is not a small life, it is an expansive life, because your energy is no longer fragmented. Your time is no longer consumed by maintenance. Your joy is no longer buried under distraction, and your beauty is no longer diluted by chaos. You become available to inspiration, to intuition, to real connection, to divine timing, to yourself. You realize you were never meant to carry so much. You were meant to flow, and simplicity gives you your flow back. Let your life reflect your frequency. You don't need to explain your peace. You don't need to justify your softness. You don't need to apologize for your stillness. You just need to live it. Let your space reflect your clarity. Let your rhythm reflect your nervous system. Let your nourishment reflect your values. Let your words reflect your inner silence. Because the life you build now is not about appearances, it's about alignment. And when your outer life matches your inner clarity, you become unstoppable, not through force, but through frequency. That is the beauty of simplicity. Not the absence of life, but the presence of truth. Chapter 12, this is what you were made for. You are not here to force life into place. You are here to become so clear that it flows through you, miraculously, naturally, and in perfect timing. Let's name it plainly now. This book is about manifestation, not the kind where you chase goals or perform worthiness, not the kind that tells you to think positive and wait, but the kind that begins the moment you purify, the kind that begins the moment your energy becomes undistorted and your life begins to match your essence. Because when you're clear, you don't attract from fear, you don't create from pressure, you don't manifest chaos and call it growth. You become a vessel for truth, and from that place the miracles come. Not because you begged for them, but because you finally became a match for what was already waiting. You were created to create. You were never meant to live in survival mode. You were never meant to spend your life fixing, fighting, or forcing. You were born with the ability to shape reality through frequency, to speak from clarity, to align with truth, to co-create with the divine, not from fantasy, but from integrity. That power never left you. It was simply buried under everything you were never meant to carry. And now that you've released the noise, now that your body is light, your mind is quiet, and your spirit is open, you remember, I was made to manifest, not from craving, but from clarity, not from striving, but from alignment. This is not something you do, it's something you are. Miracles are the natural result of purification. When your system is clean, your cells are alive, your breath is deep, your emotions are honest, your thoughts are spacious, your intuition is strong, your frequency is clear. And when your frequency is clear, miracles aren't rare, they're rhythm. They come as the right conversation at the right time, the email that changes everything, the love that doesn't trigger your wounds, the healing that arrives overnight, the creative idea that feels like it came from somewhere higher, the peace that floods your body for no reason at all. This is not magic, this is resonance. You purified, you returned to truth. And now life, unburdened by distortion, responds in kind. You are the portal. You've always had the power to manifest. But before, your signal was scrambled, your energy was fogged, your field was full of static residue and old programming. Now you are available. You are clear. You are not projecting. You are not performing. You are transmitting truth. That is the real miracle. Not what you manifest, but who you become in the process. This is not about having everything go perfectly. This is about being so purified, so honest, so deeply aligned that life can finally meet you as you truly are. You don't just receive the vision, you become it. The life you want is not outside of you, it's inside you, waiting to be uncovered, activated, expressed. But it cannot flow through a distorted vessel. It cannot land in a chaotic system. It cannot root in a body that is inflamed and overrun by loops of shame, fear, or lack. You are not here to manifest from the mind. You are here to create from your frequency. And when your frequency is clean, you don't try to manifest. You become the vision itself. The timing aligns, the relationships evolve, the path unfolds, and everything that's real, everything that's true, everything that's meant comes, not because you forced it, but because you were finally clear enough to hold it. This is what you were made for, not to struggle, not to guess, not to overthink your way through life. You were made to feel light, to live beautifully, to create from peace, to walk as a clear signal of what's possible, to embody love, radiance, and spiritual precision, to manifest miracles, not once, but as a way of being. You didn't just detox, you didn't just heal, you remembered. And now your life becomes a reflection of that remembrance, so let it. Let it be simple, let it be light, let it be true, let it be yours, let it be pure creation. You are a channel, a conductor, a creator of clean power, and the world needs your clarity, now more than ever. Closing reflection. You are always manifesting. You don't need to learn how to manifest. You've been manifesting every moment of your life. With every thought, every emotion, every word, every breath, every belief, you are broadcasting a frequency. And that frequency is always calling something back. The question is not, how do I manifest? The question is, what am I manifesting right now? And is it aligned with who I really am? If your body is inflamed, you'll manifest from contraction. If your mind is noisy, you'll manifest from confusion. If your emotions are suppressed, you'll manifest from fragmentation. If your field is cluttered, you'll manifest what matches that clutter. But if you're clear, you'll manifest with precision, with beauty, with resonance, with grace. You'll stop calling in chaos, you'll stop attracting loops, you'll stop repeating the past, because your field will be so clean, so anchored in truth, that only what is real can enter. That is the path you've just walked, and that is the power you now carry. So go forward, not with pressure, but with presence, not with striving, but with certainty. Because now you know you are always manifesting, and when you're clear, you manifest miracles. Final transmission, let it be clear. Let it be simple. Let it be you. You don't need more practices. You don't need to keep searching. You don't need to keep proving your worth. You've purified, you've emptied, you've remembered. Now let your life become a reflection of that clarity. Let your body move with ease. Let your words come from truth. Let your choices reflect the frequency you now carry. Let what's meant for you find you without the need to force, chase, or perform. Let manifestation feel like breathing. Let miracles feel normal. Let your radiance be effortless. Let it be clear. Let it be simple. Let it be you. Bonus section 1, a purification lifestyle guide. Living light, grounded and clear in the day-to-day. Purification is not something you do once. It's a lifestyle, a way of returning to truth each day with gentleness, with devotion, and with deep self-respect. This guide is here to support your integration, not through rigid rules, but through resonance. Because now that you've remembered who you are beneath the noise, your body, mind, and spirit are asking to be supported in a new way. Below are simple invitations, not prescriptions. Feel what lands and let the rest go. Your path is yours to walk, and your rhythm will always be the truest guide. 1. Eat light to feel light. Food is frequency. What you consume doesn't just feed your body, it shapes your energy, your emotions, and your mental clarity. Invitations. Choose whole, unprocessed, living foods as often as possible. Hydrate deeply with clean, mineral-rich water. Try simple mono-meals or fasting windows to give your system space to reset. Notice how food feels after you eat it, not just during. This isn't about perfection, it's about listening. Purification begins the moment you stop numbing with food and start nourishing instead. 2. Detox daily. Your body is always working to stay clear. Help it do what it was made to do. Invitations. Begin the day with warm lemon water, herbal teas or cleansing juices. Prioritize sweating, deep breathing and natural movement. Reduce exposure to chemicals, artificial fragrances and processed stimulants. Rest. True detox happens in stillness, not in force. Detoxing is not a punishment, it's an act of love, a return to biological harmony. 3. Simplify your environment. Your space holds vibration. Clutter accumulates not just in drawers, but in your nervous system. Invitations. Keep your surroundings clean, open, and calming. Surround yourself with items that inspire peace, not more urgency. Let go of what no longer feels aligned, even if it once did. The clearer your space, the more spacious your inner world becomes. 4. Practice emotional hygiene. Just like the body, your emotional field needs cleansing. Suppressed feelings don't disappear, they accumulate. Invitations. Make space to feel without distraction. Journal what's moving through you. Let it be unfiltered. Move your body to release stuck emotion. Walk, dance, stretch, shake. Be kind to yourself when emotion arises. You're not regressing. You're clearing. Your feelings are sacred. Let them move. Let them teach. Let them go. 5. Protect your peace. Your nervous system is your baseline. If it's overloaded, your clarity will be too. Invitations. Take breaks from screens, scrolling, and overstimulation. Prioritize silence and solitude, even for just a few minutes. Say no with love. Your energy is not for everyone. Let rest become part of your rhythm, not just a reward. The more peace you protect, the more power you reclaim. 6. Make presence a practice. You don't need a perfect morning routine. You need a life that honors your clarity. Invitations. Begin the day with stillness before input. Bless your food. Thank your body. Move with intention, not urgency. Turn ordinary moments into sacred rituals. Presence is not something you perform, it's something you allow. It turns the mundane into medicine. 7. Align daily with who you're becoming. You are not just detoxing a body, you are repatterning a life. Let your daily choices match your future self. Invitations. Ask, does this nourish who I'm becoming? Ask, is this aligned with the frequency I now carry? Choose from love, not habit. Let your yes be full. Let your no be clean. Purification is not about control, it's about coherence. The more your actions reflect your clarity, the more ease you'll feel every part of your life. A lifestyle of devotion. This is not about restriction, it's about reverence. A purified life is a life of devotion to truth, to well-being, to the sacredness of being alive in a clear body and mind. Let it be simple, let it be soft, let it be real. You don't need to do everything at once. Just keep choosing light, one breath, one bite, one decision at a time. This is your life. Let it be the clearest channel you've ever walked. Bonus section 2. Living as a clear channel. Building a life that aligns with the frequency you now carry. Purification isn't the end of the journey. It's the beginning of a new one. Now that you've emptied, clarified, and remembered who you are beneath the noise, you're standing at the edge of something even more powerful. Creation from alignment. Not from fantasy, not from ego, but from the clean, steady frequency of truth. This is where the magic begins to feel ordinary, where manifestation stops being a practice and becomes a way of walking through the world. This is your next chapter, and it's not about doing more, it's about becoming more of what you already are. You are a conduit now. A clear channel doesn't force, it doesn't perform, it doesn't chase, it receives, it responds, it allows, and in that allowing, something sacred begins to happen. Your life becomes more efficient without effort. The right people, opportunities, and resources arrive unforced. Clarity leads you and timing supports you. You're not trying to control reality, you're finally synchronized with it. The signs of alignment are subtle but sacred. You'll know you're living as a clear channel when you feel peaceful even when you don't have all the answers. You're no longer magnetized to drama or urgency. You stop needing constant validation. You begin trusting what feels right without needing to justify it. Your energy is more attractive than your strategy. This is not the path of popularity, it's the path of precision. And it's only available when you're no longer broadcasting static. Let life come through you, not from you. Your job now is not to force your life into shape, it's to hold the frequency of who you truly are and allow life to take shape around that. Ask yourself, what's rising through me that wants to be created, expressed, or offered? Where am I gripping and where can I soften? What would happen if I stopped trying to make things happen and allowed them to unfold? Being a clear channel means trusting your inner signal more than your outer plans. Embody, don't perform when your life becomes a performance, your clarity dims. But when you live in embodiment, your presence becomes a transmission. This is the difference. Performance wants attention. Embodiment carries resonance. Performance seeks outcome. Embodiment walks in truth. Performance drains. Embodiment nourishes. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You are the proof. Stay available to the miraculous. Now that your system is clear, you may begin to notice beauty in places you once overlooked. A deep breath feels like medicine. A quiet moment becomes a portal. A conversation shifts your entire week. A single intuitive nudge leads to breakthrough. This is the rhythm of creation now. It's less flashy, but far more powerful. Less noise, more knowing. The more available you are to presence, the more life will meet you in ways the mind could never plan. Anchor in devotion, not discipline. Living as a clear channel isn't about micromanaging your vibration. It's about staying in devotion to your truth. Devotion sounds like, I protect my peace because I know what it costs to lose it. I choose alignment over urgency, even when it's uncomfortable. I build my life to support my clarity, not sabotage it. I rest when I need to, not when I've earned it. I trust that what is meant for me cannot miss me when I remain true. Let your devotion guide your days. Let your frequency lead your way. You are creating reality now. You're not just surviving. You're not just healing. You're transmitting with every word, every choice, every breath. So ask yourself, is this aligned with who I've become? Does this reflect the clarity I now carry? Am I saying yes because it's true or because it's familiar? Your frequency is sacred. Let your life reflect that. Final reminder, You are not here to chase. You are here to become so clear that life rearranges itself around your truth. You are not here to manifest by force. You are here to walk in resonance and allow what's meant to arrive naturally. You are not here to perform power. You are here to embody precision and let that precision build a life of beauty, ease, and depth. You are a channel now, and your clarity is the invitation. Let it lead. Let it shape. Let it create.